Major. Marlin, sir. Good morning. Good morning. In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world. And you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind. Mankind, that word should have new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interest. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July, and you will once again be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We're fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Welcome back, everyone, once again to a brand new installment, finally, of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
I feel like if we could just stop having historical events happening and me stop getting sick, that'd be pretty cool. We could actually like record this shit on time. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be nice if things slowed down.
I was recounting the last like few months, and I have had. Yeah, it's a bad idea. I've had COVID, bronchitis, totaled my car. It's been great last few months for me. How about you, man? It's fucking 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm just tired. I can't explain why. I just am. I don't know.
We're all tired and nobody trusts each other anymore.
Pretty much.
So preemptively, I am pretty much like recovered, but I had one of the worst like sore throats I've ever had in my entire life last week.
Giggity.
So I'm gonna probably max out this episode at like 90 minutes to like an hour and 40. No more Christopher Nolan length fucking movie recordings of this podcast.
Geoff,
our Martian episode was like the same length as The Irishman, dude. It's not acceptable.
Says you.
Nobody needs to listen to us talk for 2.5 hours. So we're just gonna make that a fucking rule, like going forward. Hour and 45 minutes. I'm turning this fucking car around, dude. We're ending the recordings. You're welcome, America. So today, Ron picked a little bitty independent movie called Independence Day. But before we get to our review of Independence Day, do we have any comments or questions that you would like to read off?
We do. We've had a few since last time. One very familiar face and two new ones.
Okay.
So, of course, the ever enigmatic intern Bobby.
Wait, he get demoted? He's no longer the executive producer?
Yeah, that happened on one of my live streams.
What did Bobby do? What did he do to get canceled?
I don't honestly remember. I just remember he, what was it? He asked me something about what an executive producer does. Whatever my response was led him to be like, so I'm an intern? And then I changed it to intern.
Okay, Bobby, in the next uploads comments, I need you to list out what led you to be demoted, because now I'm curious.
I think I was running through a dungeon, so I have no idea. I just remember running through the dungeon. As I was playing Elden Ring, so I had a lot going on at that moment.
Yeah.
But of course, I talked about that salt gun you can load salt into and shoot a fly.
What were we talking about a salt gun about? Like, time is a fucking flat circle, so I have no idea what we talked about.
Like 3 weeks. I asked you what one of the most American things you've ever seen in real life was. And my example was walking into Walmart and seeing a thing that used to be a joke on TV actually available for sale, like in Walmart, which was the salt gun. Bobby said he's had one for years, which does not surprise me.
Why is Bobby the Burt Gummer of Oklahoma? Surely he's got a wall that is just trophies, right? Like, I guarantee you.
I guarantee you there's a graboid on it too.
Yeah, he's got one of those. See, he's got a wall full of guns. He's got another wall full of trophies from things he shot with the guns, and he's just got a whole wall of anime. That's those things I associate Bobby with.
You're not wrong.
And that's why we love him, because he's the anime loving Burt Gummer.
Then you guys had a back and forth on the same video. Ron Goose and Geokin audiobook win.
It's Jekin.
Jekin?
Okay, we've established this.
You've told me before how we got to Jekin. I do not remember.
Well, now I'm not going to tell you. No, it was a combination of Geoff and Walken, because I was doing Walken impersonations for like half of that one episode we recorded.
I like how
we're having to together piece together the lore of the last couple of months of this podcast. We're like piecing together fucking Dark Souls item descriptions to figure out our comments.
It's public on the internet. We could have just gone back.
No.
I like Jekin. You sound like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster.
Right. I remember, I think that's what we talked about, like how when we were trying to figure out what the fuck Jekin/Geokin was, we were like, how do both pronunciations work as a Pokemon name?
See,
like perfectly.
Jekin reminds me of Jokin from Inuyasha. Not as big a fan of that one.
Yeah, you gotta go with Jekin.
Jekin. Just Jekin.
What's the ultimate transformation and evolution of Jekin?
What is Jekin? Like, are you like a grass type, a rock type, ground type? Somewhere in there? Grass ground?
No, whatever Snorlax is, where I just sleep all fucking day. That's what I want to be.
The most boring type of Pokemon?
I'm just mid. That is just my class. Fucking mid. Eepy, mid. Those are my two types.
Oh god, I don't know. It'd be easier to come up with a Digimon name probably than a Pokemon name.
Yeah, I got nothing, dude. How do they still come up with fucking Pokemon? By the way, they've like a fucking 1,000 Pokemon, and each of them has like 27 fucking combinations of shit now in the newer games. I can't keep track, dude. I don't know how they keep track. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's nuts. It's well beyond me at this point.
Yeah, it like you need to go to fucking Witcher school to figure out how to like fucking sort out all the Pokemon now. You gotta have your fucking list of potions and shit. You gotta take that fucking herb thing that makes his eyes all black just to be able to use a fucking Master Ball now. This shit's crazy.
So what would we be reading? Would it be Screenplay Rewind 2? Would that be the second channel?
Well, what was your tweet that you had where all second movies have to have the certain title? Line. What was your Screenplay Rewind the Line?
Rewind the Line.
Can we make a sequel to Spec Ops the Line, so it's Spec Ops the Line the Line?
Oh god, I would love that so much.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Did we have any other comments or questions?
We did.
Okay.
On the 13th Warrior, so a few episodes back. That was number 99. Geoff, I am so sad this happened on the 13th Warrior and not on Hot Shots, because the username is Saddam Hussein 3041. And I don't think Saddam Hussein likes us very much. So he got 5 thumbs down emotes.
Damn.
And that's it. That's the whole comment. I can't say I disagree.
Yeah.
But
hey, I just am so impressed that everyone thought he was dead.
I know.
And he came
just
out
in the spider hole, it turns out.
Yeah, he was in the clear. Like he'd gotten away scot-free. The whole world thought he was dead. He came out of hiding just to talk about how shitty our podcast is. That's commendable, dude.
He melted into liquid and recongealed with his dog to leave that comment.
See, when you say it like that, he sounds like a fucking Bloodborne boss.
Well, I mean, Hot Shots Part 2. He's a T-1000.
Yeah, it's true.
And then the last one we got, Magnus 380, which I can only hope is an obscure Magneto reference. I read the book in high school and have seen the movie. How he learned the language is a bit unrealistic, but brilliantly explained in the book. And
nice.
I agree. That was one of the concessions on 13th Warrior I made where it just made more sense for the movie. Like we couldn't spend half the movie with the like year and a half long travel he does or something. The Lord of the Rings-esque travel. We just had to cut to the highlights. Mm-hmm. I believe I talked about like they set themselves a trap because he can speak directly to one of the characters in Latin, but they wanted him to have a translator at the beginning, but then that means he couldn't talk to them later when the translator doesn't come with them. So they had to fix it. But yeah.
I think we talked about it too. Like, I really liked the scene in the movie when they showed him like
it's pretty intense.
Figuring out the language, where he's like listening to them, and at first it's like he'll catch, you know, a sentence here and there of their language, and then it starts to kind of meld together where he's listening to the stuff he can't understand and what he can. I thought it was pretty like well edited.
Yeah, it's pretty intense the way it's filmed, sitting in the dark, and it's only lit by the campfire, and it's cutting back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good scene. It is very unrealistic. I agree, and I think I said that in the episode, but I don't know. How many times have you explained Jekken to me now? So, but I really like that scene also, and it's a movie concession. It's a book adaptation. There's more time in the book.
Oh yeah, you're always gonna have to truncate certain segments of the thing to adapt it.
It's not as good an adaptation as The Martian, but they kept a lot of the best parts in and abridged some of the parts that we didn't need.
Yep.
But yes, thank you for the comments, including Saddam Hussein, which I thought I wouldn't say. That's not a thing I never thought I'd find myself thanking Saddam Hussein for anything, but
there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Thanks, Saddam.
Nothing in the emails. It's been a while since we've had an actual legit email.
I just wanted to quickly touch on a couple of the emails because
no.
I think it is hilarious. This is just this sentence. So we sometimes get emails from like companies or people that are like trying to start like a little business on like pretty much like Twitter podcasts and shit, kind of like what we do, like kind of this email. Hey, Screenplay Rewind team. I'm gonna repeat this like I'm Casey Kasem. Hey, Screenplay Rewind team. I love what you guys are doing in the space. Your movie club style podcast brings a refreshing and engaging twist to film discussions, making every episode a delightful cinematic journey. All right, I'm gonna stop you there. Delightful cinematic journey. You clearly haven't ever listened to a single one of these motherfucking podcasts. I found your contact info listed on your show's RSS feed and wanted to connect. Is this the best way to get in touch with you? Best, Francis.
Best.
Also, Ron, do you also, every time you hear Francis now, just immediately think of Deadpool? Because I automatically think of fucking Deadpool
every time. And when you said best, I thought you said bet at first.
Dude, if Francis signed off every email with just bet. Are you trying to say like best wishes or like you forgot a fucking word, Francis? Okay.
Yeah.
I also like how one of the automatic replies on the Gmail thing is "How can I help you?" ? There's no helping, Francis.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. That sounds very much like some of the Chat GPT responses I've gotten when I'm just dicking around with it.
Pretty much. But it's just like who reads these emails like, oh my god, my time has come.
Made it.
We've arrived.
We've arrived.
We've arrived. Also, I also like this one. We got a fucking. This thing is as long as the script of like a Christopher Nolan movie. We got requested to do a documentary review. Motherfucker, we don't have the attention span to finish talking about like the movies we review on here. You think we have fucking attention spans for a documentary about a social media monster?
Does it say the name of the documentary out of curiosity?
Social media monster is the documentary name. Would you like this one? I would read this as Casey Kasem, but it's like 500 paragraphs long. So I'm skimming for like, all right, here's the synopsis. Prepare to pass through the looking glass where one man without a job and living in his car can leverage a mobile phone and free Wi-Fi at McDonald's and Starbucks to tear apart. I'm not making this up, by the way. This
I'm reading it with you synopsis. On IMDb right now.
I started to have a seizure about halfway through that sentence. Okay, mobile phone and free Wi-Fi at McDonald's and Starbucks to tear apart the fabric of people's lives, and he can do it all without consequences. Meet Matthew, a social media monster. When Matthew arrived in St. Joseph, Missouri, no one had any idea what was coming. That this one man would use social media to disrupt the lives of so many people. This documentary looks at how one person can wreak havoc with zero consequence, even when he threatens to commit acts of terrorism at a nuclear facility. What? All right. You buried the lead a little bit, Mr. Ross, but I'm kind of intrigued now.
Do you reply yes?
I reply, "How can I help you?" ?
Oh my god.
See, this one threw Google for a loop. There are no automatic responses at the bottom. It's just like, I got nothing, man. He talked about a fucking social media Twitter post that was an act of terrorism against a nuclear facility. I got fucking nothing, dude.
Oh my god. Yeah, that really escalated at the end.
It really did.
Man.
It really did. I think this Matthew guy might be serious, y'all.
I mean,
he quote tweeted a post from a nuclear facility. He's a terrorist now, man. He's a fucking terrorist. Crazy.
So, okay, I have a question. Is reviewing a documentary a thing? Because we don't do, like, write-ups or anything. I could see someone like the Tulsa World or something doing a write-up on something like that. But is that a thing that people do? Are there people out there like, man, I can't wait to see if my favorite podcast covered this documentary?
Also, to Mr. Ross's credit, he says that Social Media Monster has been an official selection at 50 film festivals.
No, it's a legit thing if you Google it.
Has won 15 awards. But how did he find us?
Just blasted. Just shotgun blast, see if anyone replies. Yeah, that's...
Don't leave your phone number in this email. Like, that is...
Jesus.
That is a bad idea, man.
Or a desperate move.
I'm trying to help you, Mr. Ross.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the idea of like reading these emails me like, holy shit, we've arrived, dude. We got to do it. We got to fucking do it. And it's just like, nah, you don't want us covering your shit.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Wow.
But thanks for emailing us. If you have a documentary that you would like Ron and I review, you can always email us at screenplayrewind@gmail.com, apparently, or send us a question, or hit us up in the YouTube comments. That works too.
Oh man,
there you go. Any other comments, domestic terrorism tweets, anything else to talk about?
No, but nothing held for review, sadly.
Sadly, like those are the ones you're most looking forward to.
They usually are. We've only had
the
two.
Fucking monsters out there. See, that's the true social media monster. The people that get flagged for review in the YouTube comments.
My favorite bit in the Bob Newhart thing I sent you earlier today was when Conan O'Brien told him 52% of people wanted him to live, and he was like, "So 48% didn't." He's like, "No, 42% didn't. 6% had no opinion." And he's like, "Wait." 6% of people called in just to say they had no opinion. That's what stuff like that, or like some of the held for review stuff we've had so far have felt like to me. It's like, wait, 6% of people called in just to say they had no opinion.
I feel like you've reached the pinnacle of being an asshole when YouTube takes the time to flag your response. because I have seen some fucking atrocities that just get through, you know, all the time. Just the fucking worst shit imaginable is in the YouTube comments. So when you get flagged for review and actually like temporarily muted, that's saying something, man. Like, Jesus Christ. And was that the last of our comments, I believe?
It was.
Yeah, I don't think we had any other emails asking us to review shit that I saw. All right. Again, I apologize. My voice is probably gonna sound super scratchy because
on this end you sound fine.
I spent several days like barely being able to speak. It was awful.
What's funny is I'm a little scratchy too. I don't know if I can hear myself in the headphones. I don't sound any different than normal, but I can feel it when I talk, which I'm sure you are. And I've been streaming on YouTube again, and I haven't streamed in so long. It's actually been straining my voice a bit.
Dude, it's wild. After a while, you know, you're fucking conditioned for it, and it doesn't really bother you anymore. But when you try to get back into it, even after a small break, like 2 or 3 weeks, like you feel it, man.
When I quit streaming on Twitch, like I could go all day long with no problem. And then I've been streaming on YouTube now, and I don't know, I did like 4 days in a row or something. And then the other day when you're like, hey, I can record, I was like, well, I'm exhausted and I forgot and I can't really talk. like it really, yeah. And I remember for a few hours at a time.
When we very first started recording shit like 20 years ago.
Oh man.
It demolished my voice because I had even recording like an hour and a half podcast with it just fucked me up. I remember having a really hard time. Like,
and it's not like you and I don't talk, right? Like we have significant others, like you have coworkers. I'm talking to my kids, like we talk all the time.
I don't fucking talk to my coworkers, man. I got my AirPods in all fucking day. I'm talking to a single one of the motherfuckers. When I sit down at my desk at work, I put my fucking AirPods in, switch to silent mode, and I pretend I'm on an island. Because if I listen to the people around me talk, I would walk off a fucking bridge. Holy shit.
And just
so
reading
annoying.
Quotes I send you. Oh, man.
All right, Ron. We, again, if I forgot to mention, if you have a prompt, a question or comment, you can obviously drop it in the YouTube comments or email us at screenplayrewind@gmail.com.
Screenplayrewind@gmail.com. Golly gee.
Golly gee Whittakers.
Golly gee.
So I'm sure we talked about it at the ending of the last episode when you announced it, but I don't fucking remember. So, Ron, what led you to select Independence Day for us to cover?
Well,
also, spoilers for Independence Day.
Yeah, spoilers for the movie from 1996.
So is that in 2 years? Is Independence Day 30 years old?
Yes.
Fucking kill me right now, please.
Which is why we will be covering it again in 2 years. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Still, it turns out, since I watched it and it held up. And this was my favorite movie for a long time until Avengers, essentially. I didn't really grow up with Star Wars. I saw Star Wars for the first time when I was an adult, so this was basically my Star Wars. I had the toys, and I played all the games that came with the toys because they came with a floppy disk. There was like 12 or 16 of them. They had these little flash games.
I wonder if those things are like worth anything now.
I don't know. The problem with floppy media, like floppy drives and stuff, is they are losing their magnetism, which means they're losing their data at this point. That medium is old enough now. I think we're getting to the point that some of the first CDs to come out are now delaminating and losing their data.
I mean, like felt.
Yeah, right. So there's actually a big archival crunch right now of people scrambling to try to archive everything. But I found a collection on archive.org of those floppy disks that someone had just put into individual folders, just copied individual folders and put in a zip file. So I've thought about putting some of them on my stream. I remember most of them being garbage, but I remember like 3 of them being really good, and one of them in particular I played over and over and over again.
Nice.
But anyways, This movie to me has it was kind of ahead of its time, right? It's got all the elements like the kind of the first Avengers movie has in a way if you break it down to its component parts. Like it's crossing genre lines, right? Like it's comedy, it's drama, it's action. You have this matched and matched set of characters that come together. It's in a very solid 3-act structure. Like there's almost a dividing line. It literally comes up on screen, right? July 2nd, July 3rd, July 4th. I don't know. And it turns out, I was thinking about this before we recorded, before we sat down to record today. It turns out I think I have a thing for books that are rewritten into a different story and put into movie format because 13th Warrior was Beowulf, and this is H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. So it turns out I think I have a soft spot for books that are transcending their story and their medium.
Yeah, this was the first time. So what's interesting is like we had like kind of like opposite exposure to like Star Wars versus this.
Yeah.
Because I grew up on Star Wars because my parents are big Star Wars fans. I watched this when I was a kid, I think a few times, because I can remember specific scenes from it, even though I hadn't seen it since probably like the late 90s. But if I think our age difference might have like been like a difference maker, because I remember watching this, but this was never really one like I clung on to as a kid. But I'm a little bit younger than you, so I might have just been like a little bit too young to like fully grasp it, because I think Star Wars, because of its kind of like oddball creature design and stuff, I think, and the way its action is done I think it's a little bit more like friendly to like little kids, because the action scenes in Independence Day are more kind of like almost like like war movie fights, like with the dog fighting with the planes and the ships and shit. And then like Star Wars, you have like fucking Chewbacca walking around R2D2. I think it's a little bit more accessible to little kids. So I remember watching it. I was like, I didn't like dislike it, but it didn't stick with me. I was really surprised at how well this movie held up, because I was expecting while like sitting down to revisit it to not like it that much, but I thought it ended up being like pretty good.
It's also weirdly one of those movies that people have turned on. Like, I remember it being...
It doesn't surprise me at all. Every popular thing from the 90s, people have like turned on now pretty much.
Yeah, basically. I remember everybody, like, this was the movie when it came out, right? Like, this was basically Jaws. Like, this kind of redefined the blockbuster at the time. This was the movie everyone was talking about. This is the movie everyone knew. This is what everyone was quoting when it came out. And... now it just seems like if you mention it, people just laugh at you because it's such an awful movie. And I don't get it. I don't understand. This is one of many movies people have turned on. And I don't understand why. Because to me, if you can watch like Avengers or any movie like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't like this. I'm not saying you would like it as much. I'm just saying it's kind of in that same category for me, and I don't understand the turn.
Yeah, what's interesting is like you talking about like how it kind of reinvigorated summer blockbusters. Like the 90s was a fucking wasteland outside of independent film. So like this came out in 96. Like the first few years of the 90s, you're talking like the biggest movies are stuff like Pulp Fiction and like Tarantino stuff like that, like very independent, like Kevin Smith movies type of stuff, where the only superhero movies we were getting were stuff like The Shadow and The Phantom, which were pretty much bombs and non-starters. Like, what was coming out around this time? Like nothing. Like it was such a weird time for movies.
I wonder if there's a through line there where all the movies people are turning on are all major studios and not independent works. I don't know. I would have to look into it.
Only thing I can think of is like Independence Day is incredibly cheesy at times, but like I think that's like kind of what they were going for.
Yeah, it's kind of designed after like a lot of the like 1950s, 1960s alien invasion movies.
Yeah, it's clearly a throwback to that.
Yeah, it's definitely paying homage to that kind of thing. If you've ever read or listened to The War of the Worlds, my God, there can only be an improvement.
My favorite thing about The War of the Worlds is, wasn't that the one where they were doing the like dramatic reading on the radio?
Yeah.
People started killing themselves because they thought the world was actually ending. That is just the fucking craziest thing I've ever heard.
That happened.
Isn't that nuts? Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine being like one of the relatives of somebody that did that? It's just like,
well, people were like, like it's goddamn Bloodborne, wandering the city with shotguns and torches looking for Martians.
It's fucking crazy.
It's not so much the story, it was the format of the story, right? Because what Orson Welles did was he broke it into news broadcasts. Rather than telling the story, he rewrote it as if it was happening right now. And he broke it into news broadcasts. So what would happen is if there was breaking news, you'd be listening, the family would be gathered around the radio set, listening to whatever was on, right? The Green Hornet or whatever. And then they would break in and give you an update and then go back to the regular scheduled programming. And what Orson Welles did was that he would break in with quote unquote breaking news in the middle of the regularly scheduled programs, and then it would cut back. Now, the problem is, when he started, it was the only one time that he had the disclaimer that this is fiction. If you watch something on TV now that is trying to look real, you'll notice every time it comes back from commercial break or anytime there's a break, it always has, when it comes back, this is a work of fiction. That's because of Orson Welles. They repeat that again and again and again and again, that this is a work of fiction. So yeah, Unicron just about ended the world.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. But I love that idea. Like, his idea was really cool to break it down in kind of news clips. It's just fucking crazy that people killed themselves and went
maybe the most famous adaptation of all time. Right? Everybody knows that story, whether they've heard the broadcasts or not. Everyone knows the story. It's got to be the most famous adaptation of a story of all time. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that they did to retell the War of the Worlds. It's broken down in stages like the original story is. The original story is like the aliens arriving and after they arrive, so it's only broken into 2 parts. They broke this one into 3. The original story is, before anyone jumps in the comments, which is probably already too late, the original story is good at the macro level. It has a lot of really weird eccentricities in the micro level. I meant to re-listen to it. I was going to start it a couple of days ago, and I always remember it being a lot shorter than it is. No, it's a lot longer than I remember every time. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this a few days before we sit down to record. But if you go on like Audible, whether you subscribe or not, there is a free H.G. Wells collection. And there's different narrators for the stories. And David Tennant does War of the Worlds.
Nice.
And
that's a good choice.
Yes, it is, actually. But it's got a really lot of weird stuff in it that some of it is cultural and some of it is just of the time. So, like, in it, the main protagonist of the story spends a lot of time, like, he had to grab a horse and buggy to, like, get the hell out of there. And then once his wife is safe, he has to go take the horse and buggy back to its owners because he doesn't want to be thought of as rude or as a thief. He does the same with a bicycle at some point. There's like aliens roaming the countryside melting people, and he's worried about being seen as a thief and tries to take the horse and buggy back to its owner. And I think it just turns out the horse and buggy owner is dead, so it didn't matter anyway or something. It's got a lot of really weird shit like that going on in it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see. What's weird is with how much I like sci-fi stuff, I have never really cared much for the kind of alien invasion style of movies. I think part of it is like when I want like an alien invasion thing, I kind of want more of like a twist, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah,
I like that storyline and that I like that kind of concept of removing the kind of, because I think one thing that people might like negatively react to Independence Day, it is very predictable, and that is like the plot line of every fucking alien invasion movie is like the aliens invade, they're gonna blow up a few fucking national monuments. It's gonna look like humanity's on the brink of extinction. They're gonna figure out some fucking plot device thing that makes the aliens vulnerable, and then they're gonna like attack with ships and shit. And then it's just always like the same story.
And I will give you that.
That's the only thing I can kind of think of, because what I like about Independence Day is the performances and the charisma of the actors. I think the specific actors they chose, like Will Smith and Goldblum,
dude. Some of the best Hollywood casting I have seen. And
because a lot of the dialogue is kind of bad if you look at it on paper. Like, I think they elevate a lot of these sequences because of their performances and their natural, like Goldblum has a lot of like really janky dialogue, but because he delivers it the way Goldblum delivers dialogue, it all works because he's a fucking genius in the weird ass way that he delivers his lines in the movies he does.
And he's hot off of Jurassic Park. And like Jeff Goldblum doesn't actually act or talk that way. He doesn't start doing that until kind of Jurassic Park-ish, when he figured out, oh, this is what everybody likes. And then he just starts dialing that to 11. He's probably still dialed it. He's probably only dialed it to about 8 in this movie. He's not at his Jeff Goldblumiest yet, like he is in Thor Ragnarok. But because that's
sorry, sir, the prisoners with jobs are escaping.
Whoa! All she did is interrupt me. Why are you handing me the melt stick?
I love him in that movie so much.
Yeah, this has been a great rebellion. I had a lot to do with it. Yeah, I love Jeff Goldblum so much.
There's no better pairing than Taika Waititi writing and directing for Goldblum.
Oh my god,
it's incredible.
It's like wine and cheese,
dude.
But yeah, so the dialogue doesn't really bother me. I didn't notice it, but I'm also biased because this is one of those movies that, like Tremors, I watched again and again and again with my dad on repeat, basically. So, but I know the dialogue never really bothered me. But the thing that is different about this alien invasion story, as opposed to the other run-of-the-mill alien invasion stories, is I don't usually care about the characters. I don't usually care about the main characters. I just want to see the monsters, and I want to see how we beat them. And in this movie, because effects are expensive, we spend a lot of time with these characters, and they're so well cast. They're all so charismatic. I really am invested in the characters in this movie. And there's something about that angle that makes this different, that makes this movie different than other alien invasion movies to me.
So was this the first like summer blockbuster that Will Smith did?
Probably. And
I'm trying to think back to like what could have been. So he did
was Bad
Fresh
Boys
Prince in the mid 90s. Bad Boy, let's see. I'm going back through.
Cuz that was a pretty big deal.
Pretty sure that was after. I think Bad Boys was,
I just now got to his IMDb.
Okay, let's see.
Don't care about producer. Give me actor credits. God damn it.
So Bad Boys was first. Bad Boys was in 95.
Okay.
But I don't think Bad Boys 1 is on the level of Independence Day. So I think Independence Day was the first, like, he is an A-list actor now because he was able to, like, people were selling movies just purely because Will Smith was in it for about 15 years.
Yes.
And I think Independence Day was probably like the first.
I agree.
What are your thoughts on, because I think you and I feel kind of like similar about Will Smith, but like, what are your thoughts on him in this versus like how you feel about him now? Because I think you've also, even though this is like one of your all-time favorite movies, I think you've also kind of turned on Will Smith a little bit over the years.
Oh yeah. Shortly after Men in Black, actually. So here's my thing about all the characters in this movie. It feels like they fit those roles so well. Everyone feels like the roles were literally written specifically for them. I think he's great in this movie. I like Captain Stephen Hiller. I think he fits. He's kind of the stereotypical like Top Gun, like egomaniac pilot, and I think Will Smith embodies that pretty good. I like his friend too, that blacks out and gets shot down. Especially the scene where it looks like he's proposing to him.
Yeah, that seems really funny.
The way, dude, whole scene is such a long way for such a good joke, because if you, knowing what's coming, if you watch that scene, you see them layer by layer assemble that joke one at a time. Because he's talking about kissing ass and sucking up, and then he makes the joke about getting the one knee approach, puts the booty right in your face, and all this stuff, and then he drops the ring. Like, there's just layer after layer. And then, Stevie, this is a wedding ring. And then the guy walks in the background.
It's really good.
Really solid.
I think Will Smith does an incredible job in this movie, because if you look at his lines on paper, a lot of his lines are terrible, but he owns every bit of dialogue in the movie that he has to say. And he crushes most of it, I think. I think he's super likable, super funny. Like when he's I could have been at a barbecue. When he's screaming at the alien in the desert is some of the funniest shit.
The thing that's one of the most human reactions to anything in the movie, right? So, like, the thing is about Will Smith that I feel like he loses as he goes on in his career. You forget how charismatic he is in Bad Boys, in Independence Day, in Men in Black. Like, he carries so much in those movies. They're good movies, but he carries so much of the movie also because early on in his career, he's very charismatic. And then it's like the bigger he got, the less charismatic he got. He lost
It's weird.
somewhere.
It's weird too, because like he would go through phases with some of the movies he was picking to where he was like, okay, for a couple of years, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be in these kind of like Oscar bait style movies, you know? And then for whatever reason, he kind of pivoted back. He's like, now I'm going to be in summer blockbuster kind of like popcorn movies for a couple of years. And it's bizarre when you go back and like look at some of the stuff where it's like there's not like a consistent through line. And it's weird because like you could kind of like maybe point to some of the roles where he wasn't really embodying the amount of charisma that he had back in the 90s, because maybe he was trying to like, you know, be less of a caricature of himself, and he was trying to act more and kind of like blend in with these characters and these like these roles he was taking. But then he'd turn around and then do like a silly popcorn movie like a summer. It's weird. I don't know. I find his career interesting in that respect, because I've also kind of fallen off on him. But I do like several movies that he's in, and I like him in them. But I don't know, it's bizarre.
He, I think it happens for me right around the time of like Men in Black 2 era. He starts to lose it. I think iRobot is probably the last thing he did where I'm on the Will Smith train.
What'd you think of I Am Legend? Did you like I Am Legend?
I'm like the only person on the planet that is okay with that movie because I don't know anything about the original.
Yeah, see, that's
really,
one where
I think it's really boring, and I think he's really boring in it. But at the same time, it's not bad. Like I've seen Hitch, Geoff. I've seen far worse movies.
The I Am Legend movie isn't terrible, but it is unfortunate.
I think it takes more shit than it deserves. But at the same time, I don't think it's great. Like I think it's watchable.
It's watchable, but man, the story is so much more interesting, and the monsters are so much more interesting as vampires that talk to him and actually have characterization.
It's a zombie movie, so I find it interesting. They're vampires in the original.
Yeah, that's part of my problem with it. Is it works so much cooler as a vampire story than it does as a zombie movie, because like it's when there are zombies, it loses its like creepy factor. In the story, the fucking vampires walk up to his bunker and are talking to him through the wall, and there's some of the best scenes in the story because it's super creepy. You know, like they're talking to him, you know, like it's like why are you wasting both of our time? We know, like, you know, they look at him, you know, as completely fucked, but he continues to try to live on. Right. And it's just super interesting. And for them to make them zombies and make them zombies with like some of the like the worst like shoehorn CGI I've ever seen. It sucks.
You know, in this era of video games with survival games and State of Decay and Subnautica and, you know, just all the different broad range of survival games that we have. We have that Jurassic Park game coming up soon about you're left behind on the island after everyone evacuates. Why has no one adapted I Am Legend yet?
It's weird.
Like, I'm not saying make an I Am Legend game, but I feel like there's enough there that you can take from it and do like an Independence Day style retelling like they did of War of the Worlds, right? You could rewrite it into its own thing. You don't need the IP name. I wonder why no one has done something that is blatantly, obviously I Am Legend with the serial numbers filed off.
Well, I would like for I Am Legend to come back as like a mini series or something.
Like a 10
actually,
episode series.
Even like 6 or 8 episodes, like Amazon or like HBO or somebody, and actually adapting like the original type of story. But I feel like that movie kind of changed public perception of what I Am Legend is into being a mediocre zombie story, which sucks because that was never what it was. But yeah, I'm a little bit, it's unfortunate watching it this time. I'm a little bit iffy with Bill Pullman in Independence Day, actually,
Really?
because I have seen Spaceballs 10,000 times to where when he's trying to get people when he's trying to get people out of the White House, all I can hear is take only what you need to survive. And it's just like, I love Bill Pullman, and I think he's doing as good of a job as he possibly can in this movie, and I think he is good, but my brain reverts him to being Lone Star.
That's more of a Geoff problem, but yeah.
I'm saying he's doing good. My brain is just retroactively turning everything he says into a Lone Star quote because he's Lone Star.
He's the only shining star in the sequel.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He is the only thing good about the sequel. Him and I always forget his name, and I always feel bad. He's my favorite character in Taxi, Judd Hirsch. He is the two of them are the best parts, but Bill Pullman by far the best part of the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back as President Whitmore, ex-President Whitmore, walking with a cane, full beard, long hair, because it messed him up having the alien inside of his head.
So, quick question. I think you had told me before, because I haven't seen the sequel, and I don't think I will, because of how much you've said it's total shit.
It's like if you asked ChatGPT to write a script for a sequel to Independence Day, what you would get is Resurgence.
So, I think you had told me the main character in the sequel is Will Smith's kid.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Is it the little kid in the first movie, or is it a different son?
I believe it's the same.
Is this the same little kid?
I believe it's the same kid.
I was curious about that.
Liam
Watching this,
Hemsworth and Dylan Hiller. Jesse T. Usher is Dylan Hiller. So that's the same kid.
It's the same kid. Okay, yeah, I was curious if that was Dylan. Yep, for sure.
Not the same actor, I don't believe, but
same character.
Yeah. What is funny about, we're getting way off because now we're talking about Resurgence. What is funny is Bill Pullman comes back, Jeff Goldblum comes back. Will Smith, I believe, was doing Suicide Squad. I want to say he had a scheduling conflict with another movie.
Okay.
And he said, if you do a third one, call me, basically, because he was already locked in. I believe he was on set doing being Deadshot. And then in the second movie, they kill his character off screen. And then some interviewer asked him about it, and he was like, I would have said yes if I wasn't already obligated to do something else. I don't know why they killed me. He's like, I would come back for that character, for that movie.
That's crazy, dude.
But like, he was very like, what the fuck, guys? Which is a really like, what the fuck thing to do if that is
why
true.
Why would you do that?
So it makes me wonder that conversation maybe doesn't go exactly the way he tells it. I don't know. That's me reading into it. We'll never know unless the people on the other end of the phone talk about it. But yeah, apparently his reaction when he saw the movie was, "What the fuck, guys?" But yeah, that's great. Yeah, Independence Day, am I right?
Independent. Yeah, well, actually, at the ending of this podcast, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the sequel because I'm curious. I'm not gonna fucking watch it, but I just want like a quick 5 on Resurgence here in a bit.
Oh god.
So Judd Hirsch was in the sequel? I didn't even realize he was still alive.
Yes. His bit. So in this one, so I love Judd Hirsch in this movie because 1, he's just a great actor. But 2, he's like the only character that gets everyone to work together in some way. Every time someone's arguing, he comes in and shuts them all up and shuts them all down. Like, he's the guy, he doesn't understand the technology. He doesn't understand the politics. He doesn't understand any of that. So he's like the everyman coming in and like, what are y'all yelling about? Why is everyone mad? Why are you yelling at my David? You wouldn't even be here if it weren't for him. And like, you know, he's the guy that always lowers the temperature in the room. And
he looks like he could legitimately be Goldblum's dad in the movie. Like their chemistry is great, and they look like they could legitimately have been related in real life. It's really good.
Yeah,
really good
and he's a great comedic actor. If you've ever seen Taxi, like I said, he's my favorite character besides Danny DeVito. And he can do drama and he can do comedy very well. There's actually a really horrific episode of Taxi where he picks up a mugger and they rob him, and I think they fire the gun near his head or something and like injure his ear or something, and like he quits. And
this is Taxi?
This is Taxi. For like
I thought Taxi was like a fucking comedy.
It is. And then it takes a turn for a few episodes, but for like 4 episodes he's not in it. And then like they convince him to come back and he comes back, but like he quits because he's having like PTSD from picking up the mugger. And that was the first time I was like, holy shit, because it's a really crazy episode and he's my favorite character in it. And I'm just like, what is happening? But yeah,
it's like a fever dream.
So yeah, I know just from that one show alone that he can do comedy and he can do, because his delivery is what makes him so good. His delivery in this movie on every line is so good. The one I always forget is in it is Robert Loggia. Fucking love
what else do I know him from? Because is he just in 1,000 different things?
He's in a million things. He's in everything ever made. He's in Independence Day Resurgence. Like, he made it to the sequel. I think he passed away shortly after that.
Yeah, he passed away in 2015, 85. Rest in peace. I like him in this movie a lot too. He's very likable as that like crotchety general dude.
And he's like the father that President Whitmore didn't have. Like, he's very loyal to Whitmore. Yeah. He's just.
I also like too that he like the CIA asshole is kind of like the prototypical
another
like,
guy that's in everything. He was in My Cousin Vinny. He's been on our podcast before.
Yeah, James Rebhorn. He's one of those character actors. He's also been like a million different things. But I like how like General Gray is like most of the time that character would be just like super aggro and unreasonable, but is actually very, very like controlled in his actions as a general.
Which you
like,
would
usually
expect
the
a general to be.
Yeah, usually the generals in these movies are pieces of shit and are just actively fucking over the protagonist at like every turn imaginable.
He's offering legit advice to the president.
Yeah,
he's doing his fucking job because he understands this is above politics, right? He understands that this is extinction.
Yeah. I want to quickly call out sorry, I hate IMDb so much now.
Yeah, it's
Mary McConnell, who plays Marilyn Whitmore. She played one of the leads in The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh yeah.
Last year, I think that was last year, whenever that came out. She's fucking incredible in that show. She's really good.
Yeah, she's like my least favorite in this movie.
The way that she plays the character in Fall of the House of Usher, she's like fucking like calculating as fuck. It's like Lex Luthor style. It's a pretty cool character. But what made you dislike her in this so much?
There's something about her acting that it's unnatural enough to the point that it's not. She's not acting. She's acting. Like, I don't know.
Interesting.
There's something about it feels like she is in a different movie.
Well, she pretty much is in a different movie because she's very detached from the primary cast for most of the movie.
Yeah,
I didn't think she was on screen long enough for me to even form an opinion on her because she's barely in this movie.
It's the way she delivers her lines more than anything. It feels like they only gave her side of the script, like only her pages. I don't know. She feels out of place to me. I mean, she's doing a better job than I could. I'm not saying that. It just feels like she's doing something different than the rest of the cast. The one that is always funny to me is Mae Whitman, is Patricia Whitmore.
Yeah, Katara herself.
Yeah.
And what's her name in fucking Sky Pilgrim? Roxy Richter, I think.
Something like that. Richter,
Yeah.
barely even knew her. She's also in a couple of shows that Christina watches. See if I can get the names of them here because I always fucking forget.
I saw her in the cast. I was like, oh, fuck. Mae Whitman's a little kid.
Yeah, she's the little kid. Good Girls is one of the shows that Christina watches. And what is the one I can never fucking remember this name. It looked so boring. Oh, fuck. She was in that Voltron Netflix series for one episode. God, she is in a lot of shit. Parenthood.
Parenthood. I haven't seen it.
Don't. That's my advice on Parenthood.
Like, you put your review on the poster. Just don't.
Just don't. Yeah, and it's fucking Dax Shepard and Lauren Graham and Peter Krause. Let's see. Scroll. Mae Whitman, Craig T. Nelson, Ray Romano. And it's fucking awful.
That is such a fucking random assortment of people that you just listed.
It's literally they threw darts, right? Yeah.
They sent an email out to everybody in Hollywood and to see who replied back.
Yeah, I would like you to review this documentary, and then somehow they got roped into Parenthood.
Yep.
I do like the idea of her being April O'Neil in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game.
Yeah, I can see that.
That makes me wonder if she was in that series, because that was the Nickelodeon series.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, she'd be a good April O'Neil, actually. She'd be a good April O'Neil in live action, I think.
I just realized that Brent Spiner's character's name is Dr. Brockish Oku. He sounds like a fucking Klingon. What is this name?
Which may be part of the joke. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Adam Baldwin, man, makes an appearance.
Yeah.
Harvey Firestein's one of my favorite characters, and it's like one of my favorite B characters, right?
He's so
over the top, like Harvey Firestein always is.
He's so over the top, but Harvey Firestein's voice always makes me concerned because he sounds like he's dying at every fucking moment, and it just like
for $300 an hour, you can put me through to his house in the Hamptons.
I just want to hop on set and just bring the man a fucking lozenge, dude. And it's just like Jesus Christ.
My dad's favorite line in the whole movie is from Harvey Firestein with the "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
that's my dad's favorite line in the whole thing.
It's so funny. It's like, but he is super likable.
Hey, Dad. So one of the things also that I feel like makes this a little bit different from a lot of the prototypical alien invasion movies, I can give you an example of what I mean too with Jasmine, Vivica Fox.
Yeah, Vivica A. Fox.
Her and Will Smith's characters are the perfect example of what I'm talking about when I say a lot of the people in this movie, if not all of the characters, respond and react the way you would expect a person to respond and react, and they're doing things you would expect people to do. So, like, they both think each other is dead, but she knows if he is alive and he is going to come looking for her, she's going to stay at that fucking Air Force base, even though it's in ruins, even though there's no chance he's coming, probably. And he knows if there's any chance she's alive, even if it's ruined, she's going to be at that fucking Air Force base. And he steals a helicopter and goes to the Air Force base. And that's how they find each other. Like, that's the best example. But I feel like everyone in this movie pretty much reacts the way you would expect people in their positions to react to things. I don't know. That's always one of the things that struck me. It's not like a lot of the times the way characters act in these type of movies is kind of the way people react to things in a Godzilla movie. Like it's very Mystery Science Theater level.
Like the original Thing movie. I think it's a good example. Where they're very, very dry, and every single person is the same character. They're just
like when I was talking about with the original War of the Worlds story. Like he steals a horse and buggy to save himself and his wife, and then so people don't think badly about him in this alien invasion when people are being melted with heat rays, he has to go take it back to its owner now that she's safe. Like, why?
Yeah.
What the fuck does it matter? You're running for your life. Who cares? Yeah.
Oh, back with Vivica A. Fox, I think my favorite thing with her in it is Kill Bill, because her fight scenes in Kill Bill are really badass. Kill Bill? Yeah, she's the mom. Who do you remember when Uma Thurman and her are fighting, and like the daughter walks in and they have to momentarily stop? That's Vivica A. Fox.
I have no memory of what you were talking about.
Really? It's when I think it's one of the first scenes in the movie where Uma Thurman is at this like little house on in a suburb, and she's fighting Vivica A. Fox in the house, and like the daughter comes home from school from the bus, I think, and walks in while Uma Thurman and Vivica A. Fox have like butcher knives as they've been fighting for 20 minutes.
I have vague flashes of what you're talking about, but I really don't remember the Kill Bill movies much.
We should make them up for the show.
I watched the fuck out of it when it first came out, but I mean,
they hold up. Like they're pretty fucking.
I watched them a few years ago in theaters and maybe watched them a couple more times a couple of years after they came out, and then I quit watching them.
I might have to pick them some because I think they hold up pretty well. But yeah, I just want to say like I like her in that movie.
But yeah, the other thing too is I like in this movie, it's got a very like I said, it's your typical 3-act structure. They even break it down with by the date. So your first act is July 2nd, and then July 3rd is post annihilation or post attack, and then where we try to counterattack, and then July 4th we make our last stand. And that speech, I think, is still one of the greatest all-time movie speeches.
I like the speech and the delivery on it. The score right after it almost like kills it for me because I do not like some of the score in this movie.
Oh, I love the music in this movie so much.
I think some of the movie's music is they're trying. So in some scenes I think it's really good. In other scenes, like after the speech, it's like it's so over the top that it hits like maximum cheese, like too much. Like it like just tips over the line a little bit too much for me. Where I do not like the score sometimes in the movie.
One of the things that it does with the music, one of the reasons I love the music so much is its use of the music. One, I love the score to this movie, hands down. But it does the thing that like Star Wars does, where there's different arrangements of it and at different volumes, and it moves at different speeds at different points in the movie. So, in something as dramatic, it'll be the same score, but made to be more dramatic. When there's a happy moment, it's made to be more happy. When there's an epic moment, there's like the epic version of it that plays. But it's always the same music, and Star Wars kind of does the same thing with the Star Wars theme, and the a lot of times with the Imperial March too. They will do that. They will play with it a little bit, and that is one of the few times I can remember a movie using their own score that exhaustively. You know.
I think I would have liked it better. For me personally, I would have preferred like a James Horner score for this because I like the one of the bits of music that I really liked is in the kind of makeshift hospital when Bill Pullman's wife dies.
Yeah.
The music in that scene as he's like going to talk to the daughter about how like the mom had passed away, I think is really touching and like really well done. It is the like when it tries to be epic that it just hits too much like it's like forced epic cheesy music and it just kind of took me out of it. But this is coming from someone that didn't kind of grow up on it. So if you grew up on it, you're revisiting this and you like it's in the back of your brain, like you remember it and you have those like memories like associated with the certain segments of it. If you just go back and watch it now out of context, it felt so like forced cheesy for me. But I get kind of your what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep. You and I are going to disagree on that one because I love the music in this.
Because like for instance, like why I bring up James Horner, like have the music in The Rocketeer like feels organic with the rest of the movie. This doesn't feel organic with the rest of the movie to me, where I would have preferred like a James Horner style score, but that's just me.
See, one of the reasons why I think the music does fit it is because this movie is really, really hopeful. It's a really hopeful movie that is trying to see the best in humanity. Like, it really embodies the whole Ronald Reagan speech of we would all pull together if invaded by a force from not from this planet. And the music to me sounds like it's trying to be a very hopeful note, right? Like, it's trying to be very hopeful music as well. Because that is, to me, the through line in this whole movie is just that idea of hope, which is why it turns out, if you agree that it is a hopeful movie, this was a weird time to be watching it with everything going on in
like
American politics.
the most fucking dire Independence Day timing we've ever fucking had.
Who knew when I picked this movie, shit would be going the way that it is. So yeah, I picked a doozy. It's such whiplash going from this movie to the news.
I think the last person in the cast that we need to touch on is the one that makes me the most sad. So Randy Quaid
is this character in real life.
I liked Randy Quaid when I was a kid because
you didn't know better.
Well, specifically because of the vacation movies.
Yeah.
My dad loves the vacation movies. So when I was growing up, me and him would watch the first two vacation movies, the Christmas one and the first one, like all the fucking time. So I have a lot of fond memories of the vacation movies and with Randy Quaid in them. And the fact that he's a fucking MAGA monster now just makes me really depressed.
Oh, dude.
Because when I watch him in anything now, I just get depressed and it totally takes me out of the movie because I just see the piece of shit that he is now.
I fly. I'm pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
He I don't even know what to say. I think even MAGA people are scared of him. Like, he is a freaking monster now.
The fact that
he probably always was, but now is like he's got the platform to come out on.
Yeah, he like tweeted about being.
Oh God, I can't imagine following him on Twitter.
He tweeted about, because he was a very, very vocal 2020 election denier. He had tweeted at one point about like the election being a hoax, and fucking Trump quote tweeted Randy Quaid and said, "Thanks, Randy. Yeah, we're looking to get this whole hoax thing taken care of real quick." And I just want to die thinking about that fucking this fucking goddamn Trump quote tweeting modern Randy Quaid just makes me want to walk off a bridge, dude. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
So depressing.
It is shocking to me that he is still alive. I really expected him have passed away and me not known about it, because he seems like he would be doing all of the drugs and all of the alcohol. He just seems like he's always on something.
Yeah. It sucks too, because usually I can kind of separate people from their like kind of IRL bullshit.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's like, gotta be pretty bad if you're suffering from it, because the way you're feeling about Randy Quaid is the way I feel about a lot of people.
So like, I think the difference is like for an example, like Tom Cruise. It's like Tom Cruise is a fucking nut job, but I can forgive and kind of separate my feelings about someone being crazy and jumping around on a fucking couch being an idiot versus someone who is actively trying to destroy society.
Tom Cruise may not be the example you want to pick. I mean,
Tom Cruise is a fucking nut job, and it's
Scientology can do no wrong, and he's the face of Scientology, and Scientology does a lot of wrong and destroys a lot of people and their lives, and is incredibly damaging to society.
Scientology does not do the same type of damage to the widespread country as MAGA shit does, dude. That's like apples and oranges. Like, yeah, Scientology does fuck at people who are stupid enough to get involved in Scientology, but like, we're all impacted
MAGA
by
may be more
Republicans.
widespread, but they're not much different.
Oh, and they're the same type of fucking crazy people, but we're talking half of the country versus, you know, Scientology.
Oh God, I wish it was just half. I feel like I'm the only sane person here.
Like half of the country versus what percentage like Scientology is it's like it's nothing. So like Randy Quaid, it basically, if you start venturing into the realm of supporting people that are actively trying to demolish the country, you can go fuck yourself, and that's where I can't separate the actor from like who he is as a person. So yeah,
can I tell you something that would have sucked in 1996, but knowing what we know about Randy Quaid now,
what's that?
Would have been great in 2024 viewing. Do you know how his scene at the end of the movie originally played out before they changed it?
Are we talking about Independence Day?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I do not know this.
He was in the crop duster with a big bomb strapped to it.
What the fuck?
Yeah. He shows up in the crop duster with a big bomb strapped to it, like fucking Tails in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And
that's so fucking dumb.
Just, hello, boys, I'm back. And then they changed it. If you have the DVD, you can watch it. It's in the deleted scenes.
Oh, they fucking filmed that shit?
Oh, no, it's in there. And then I think that
yikes.
They refilmed him in the cockpit, and I think they changed his plane with CGI or something. It was like a last minute change.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they would have had to have done reshoots then to have that moment where he's like basically being recruited, where he's like telling them like I'm a crop duster or whatever when they're trying to find new pilots and shit.
In 1996, that would have ruined the entire movie. In 2024, it's like, yeah, that's about right. That's Randy Quaid.
That's Randy Quaid.
Yeah, that fits. Yeah. Like that would not have been that would have not that would have been less surprising than him saving the day in the fighter plane in 2024, I think. But
God damn it, Randy Quaid. Why do people gotta be fucking nut jobs, man? Just let me have just let us have the fucking movie you're in, please.
I know.
It sucks.
So some of the last bullet points I wanted to touch on, since you had to put the restrictor plate back on, you had to put the limiter back on. Is I really like the spaceship designs. The mothership was always the one that's kind of generic to me, but the giant city-sized crafts I think are really cool looking. And
by the way, the special effects in this movie are fucking nuts for almost being 30 years old. That was my biggest takeaway from watching this was like some of these special effects are fucking great, and I was surprised by how well they.
I want to say it was ILM. Not 100% on that. The big thing they did in this movie was they combined CGI with actual models. So like the White House exploding was an actual model they blew up.
I'm assuming it was a lot of the buildings in California specifically too, like when they were showing a lot of the detonations from like the big laser beam blast thing.
Yeah, like they did a lot of model work and stuff. So a lot of what you're seeing is practical effects exploding, but then they're CGIing the spaceship in and the laser blast coming down. Then everything after that is real.
The combination, the combination of everything was really well done, because usually, like if you remember back, like some of the models in like the first Superman movie.
Oh my god!
You remember? It's so funny when you just see a hard cut to a fucking
when the water
play
comes
set.
pouring down after the dam goes.
And it's like you watch it now, and it almost like it goes all the way back around to being charming as fuck. So you know. But the model work in here, I think, was really well integrated.
I think of that Superman clip all the time because in Frozen 2, when Elsa is riding the water knock on the horse down through the ravine after the dam breaks, I always think about how that was practical effects and it looks like dog shit. And this is just a full-on Pixar CGI movie. And this looks fucking incredible, like the way the water moves and stuff, and that looks so much real than the actual water did in the Superman movie. Like it's incredible. I really need to make a video and post it to our YouTube of the two of those side by side, those two scenes, because it is incredible how the fake water looks so much better than the real water. And the real trees and everything. It's nuts. But I like so in a lot of this type of movie, a lot of the spaceships are smooth. I love all the fucking details and jagged edges and everything going on, but while they're still trying to maintain the flying saucer look, is really cool to me. There is actually if you've ever played Star Fox 64, there is an homage to Independence Day. There's an entire level that is a giant spaceship putting out a bunch of tiny spaceships coming over a military base, just like at the end of the movie, or like when it's coming over NORAD. And it starts to deploy its primary weapon, which is the same primary weapon from Independence Day. And you have to blow that up. And if you don't do it in time, it's not a game over, but it will blow up that base, and then you leave because there's nothing left to defend. If you blow it up, one of your wingmen that is not part of the Star Fox team, Bill is his name. He's buddies with Star Fox so they have a history. It doesn't tell you what that history is. He comes in a different level and helps you out if you win.
Nice.
It's actually one of my most favorite levels in that, because it's just a big open sandbox with a timer. Because they're moving into position. But it's basically the NORAD scene. But
nice.
I love the design. I love the design of the little fighters. That's one of the reasons why I hate the second movie so much, is the design of the human technology in it is awful. And then they're putting it next to the same fighters, and the same fighters designed in 1996 look amazing.
A lot better. That sucks.
Yeah. But the thing that I've always really loved, I wish I had more of, but I get it's expensive and difficult to do, and they already were blowing up cities and doing all kinds of other shit, is the design of the aliens themselves. I always found fucking horrifying when I was a kid, and fucking incredible as an adult.
It's like a blend between like a classic kind of alien and like a xenomorph.
So they make the sound from the Thing. The little cicada sound they make is very similar to the sound in the Thing.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You can tell they were clearly inspired by Alien, right? Like the inside of it kind of looks like the inside of the egg almost.
Mm-hmm.
But so the aliens in the War of the Worlds, you can think, so the machines they're wiping us out with are basically water towers on legs that walk around. And inside that water tower machine thing is basically a Squidbilly from Cartoon Network. If you've ever seen that, like they're just these little squid guys. And like I really think that's what the Daleks are designed after in Doctor Who. Because inside the metal husk is this little squid looking thing.
And you said that was from like War of the Worlds?
That's War of the Worlds. That's what they are. And in this movie, what they do is the actual alien is designed more like the Greys that crashed in Roswell, which we worked the Roswell mythology into this as well. They've got the same eyes as the Greys. They've got the same, like, no mouth, just the skin covering over where the mouth should be like the Greys. They're tiny and little fragile bodies with big heads like the Greys. And they're not gray, but they're kind of a bluish gray. Their skin is. And then in War of the Worlds, they pilot those giant machines. But in this, they're piloting a biomechanical suit where they get all their physical strength and everything from, is a thing they are, in fact, piloting. And since the aliens don't have tentacles, the biomechanical suit has the tentacles. And it makes for this really incredible visual when this thing stands up, especially when it's hanging halfway out of its suit. In area.
Yeah, they're like, it's like a xenomorph, like Hulkbuster suit almost. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's really neat. And then I was really big into like the Guyver manga and anime stuff. So the idea of the biomechanical suit also, which is what the Guyver suit is, that was always really cool to me. The idea of aliens having biotechnology as opposed to our mechanical technology, I always thought was really neat. And in those little floppy disk flash games, by the way, there are places. Some of them you're the aliens, some of them you're the humans. And there are places inside the fighter planes that you just literally plug your tentacles in when you sit down in the chair. They just plug in like little USB drives. So I'm assuming they're using part of their brain to also pilot the machines. But I love the design of that. I love the sound that they make and everything. They're all really nice and creepy. It turns into a straight up horror movie in that scene, by the way.
Oh yeah, dude, Data gets fucked up.
Yeah.
When the alien thing is like speaking telepathically through Brent Spiner is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm always down for that.
It's really creepy too. His voice isn't quite right. It's almost not his voice, you know?
Yeah, I think they were doing some like alterations to his both like the speed of how he was speaking seems to be like just ever so slightly off. Like they were like editing it too.
That weird comatose state he's in as he's smashed against the window.
Super cool.
Like you can tell he's like not conscious, right?
Yeah.
And then to put all that through the filter of he's talking through a speaker on the wall on top of it just makes it extra creepy.
Yeah, it's well done.
But the way the alien is moving, like it's clearly the one talking when you look at how it's turning its head and stuff. Like it's like, release me now, right?
Yeah,
it's so cool.
So is this your favorite Roland Emmerich thing? Because
absolutely.
I know you also like you had like Godzilla on here too, and I know how much you like the Godzilla movie. Is this your favorite thing of his?
This is my number one favorite Roland Emmerich thing.
I think my favorite thing he said might be The Patriot. Because I was rolling back through. I always forget that he fucking made The Patriot.
Yeah, I always forget that too because when I think of him, I think, I know he's a writer for Day After Tomorrow. Did he direct it?
Yeah, he did too.
But yeah, I also like
Stargate a lot.
Godzilla and Independence Day.
Universal Soldier. I think we talked about this in the Godzilla review as well, but I always fucking forget that he made Universal Soldier as well. He's had such a strange career. With
who his career kind of reminds me of a little bit also, and the movies he picks. He's almost like God damn it. Hang on. Please hold. Luc Besson.
Luc
Besson, yeah.
That's the Lockout dude, right?
Yeah, in Fifth Element.
Yeah.
His career kind of reminds me a little bit of that, but a little bit more, no pun intended, a little bit more down to earth style movies. But he's kind of all over the place with his projects, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, just some of the visuals, the iconic visuals in this, the fucking ships coming into the atmosphere. And you're following all the characters watching this at once. Will Smith's is, of course, the funniest one.
Well, when he's on the front yard and he realizes like the whole neighborhood's moving out, it's really good.
The neighbor's packing up. I guess they got tired of all these earthquakes. And then he goes out to get the paper, and he gets distracted from the visual by like walking over like Dylan's tricycle, like busting his shin, because it makes him turn around and look backwards as he's walking to the paper. Like, damn it, Dylan. Then he just picks up the paper and starts reading it. And you just see out of focus in the background, people just in a panic throwing everything in their car. And then he looks to the other side. It's the same thing. And then the helicopter's getting me, lowers the paper and sees it. It's really good. It's really cheesy and only for the movie. But it makes me laugh because you throw that in with everyone else is watching on TV or standing out on top of a building in horror as this thing is entering the atmosphere, and then we just cut to him. He's totally missed all of it. He's totally clueless as to what's happening. It's just, I don't know. It was just kind of a break from the intensity, I guess, is why I like it so much.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot too. You know what's also funny? It just shows how little I've changed in the 30 years since I've fucking watched this movie. The scene that I remembered the most when I was a little kid was the dog trying to get into the little tunnel thing with Vivica A. Fox.
Yeah, that looked bad in 1996.
Well, no. I can watch 10 million human characters get killed in the movie. I'm invested when there's like a dog in danger. I want the dog to be okay. I don't fucking care how many humans you kill, but even to this day, I need the dog to be okay.
One of my other I was talking about like human reactions to things that are going on. I fucking love Harvey Fierstein in his car trying to get out of New York, calling his therapist, and he's just like, for $300 an hour, you can put me through to his house in the Hamptons. Like,
I like when he's like, I gotta call my lawyer. Maybe I won't call my lawyer.
like, oh God, I gotta call my housekeeper. I gotta call my mother. I gotta call my lawyer. Screw my lawyer. I also love David trying to talk to Fierstein about the signal he's found. And he slowly realizes as he's talking that no one's paying attention to him. And she's like, David, haven't you been watching? Like, they work at they work basically at DirecTV, right? Rebroadcast thing. Like, so he's just like, haven't you been watching? Like, there's screens fucking everywhere.
Did they say, what was Goldblum's like job before where he's like a super genius with computers and shit? What did he do exactly before? Was he like fucking, because he's like a super genius when it comes to computers, but he's like working at the cable company thing. Like what is his backstory?
Yeah, he's basically working there. He's basically the ones that deals with like their satellite signals. Like that's his job, is even if you have like cable that comes in over satellite. It's just, if you have satellite, you have a satellite dish on your roof. If you have cable, you have a massive satellite dish in one location that just connects to your house from miles away. So his job is basically maintaining the satellite connection and make sure everything is good and healthy.
What did he do before though? Like back, I'm assuming he had some type of like specific job.
It doesn't sound like he did anything. That's part of why Connie left him, right? Is he has no ambition. And like when he's playing chess with his dad is even talking about he was top of the class in MIT and he's a cable repairman. And he's like, my job's a little more complicated than that, Dad.
Okay, so he was a super genius because he went to MIT and shit.
Yeah,
and like
he was super genius
okay.
and he did nothing with it, basically.
Okay. Because I couldn't tell at first because I was trying to watch it and kind of like piece together. It's like, are they insinuating that he had like some type of like military thing in the past because he knew the guy who would end up being the president and shit? Alongside his wife or his ex-wife.
No, I think she was just
sure.
in politics, and then she ended up working for his campaign.
Okay,
and
that
then
makes sense.
The vibe I've always gotten is that she was in politics, he was in tech, and then Whitmore was a fighter pilot, and he okay, I'm gonna circle back to something in a second, and then he started running for president. She worked for his campaign, and then the thing is like, he was an ambitious man, being a fighter pilot, trying to become president. And the thing I want to circle back to, the argument about his age is he's too young to be the president, whereas right now we have a man everyone is saying is too old to be president. Well, he's
What's
only
funny,
2 or 3 years older than the guy he's running against.
What's funny too is like you look back at Independence Day and the most unrealistic thing about the movie with like the space aliens invading and the fucking alien telepathy and shit is the fact that the president isn't 85 years old.
Right.
Because that's all we get stuck with now is fucking octogenarian.
Yeah, so you got that, whereas David, like there's a point when they're talking about why their marriage fell apart when he has started drinking, which is out of character for him because he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, but the world is ending. We're sending nukes out to try to stop him, so we're poisoning and destroying our own planet trying to fight them off, when he's saying there has to be a better way. We're not going to nuke New York, right? So he's the one character that has lost hope in this movie at one point. And in that scene when she's talking to him, she's like, you could have done anything that you wanted, right? But he just didn't have the ambition to pursue it, and that is why their marriage fell apart. So yeah, my thing that I always got was he graduated top of his class at MIT and just went to work for the cable company.
Okay,
at a job
yeah,
that just gave him enough to put a roof over his head and be happy, basically. When he could have been at Area 51 probably working on the aliens.
Yeah. So question 2 about the logistics about the ending of the movie.
Sure.
Are there any implications in the sequel about the fact that they like nuke the mothership thing in space and it's like falling onto Earth? Because like, wouldn't that have like implications if you have like the nuclear fallout like falling back to Earth?
I don't. First off, the movie doesn't even touch on the fact that they nuked New York. New York is fine in, or was it New York?
It's Houston. Houston gets nuked in the movie.
I don't think they ever even mentioned Houston. God, that's fucking crazy too, because Houston basically got nuked in real life. Because Hurricane Beryl would have put out more power than a nuclear bomb every few minutes or something. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
God damn. What a weird time I picked for this movie.
Yeah, good job.
I didn't expect it to be this on point. I don't even think they talk about it. Like, it never happened. But
because like those fucking pieces that are falling back to Earth look like pretty fucking good size.
Well,
and it's just like y'all set off a fucking nuke like not too far away from the Earth. And they're like not concerned about it.
But also, I would argue space itself is radioactive. Like, space itself is nothing but radiation.
Yeah, but they set off the fucking nuke that was big enough to like take out that ship that's like the size of the moon.
Yeah, but that's nothing compared to what we're being bombarded with from the center of the galaxy, from the sun.
Yeah, but the pieces would be like like irradiated and shit, and they're directly falling to the. Now most of it's getting burned up on reentry, but like with this concerned, my thing was like, just real quickly, is like why I kind of questioned that and was wondering if it was talked about in the sequel, is like Goldblum is specifically talking multiple times about nuclear winter,
right?
And it's like, I understand that like you have to go through the steps of like the celebratory third act, we beat the aliens, like hoorah, but like those fucking pieces are irradiated and falling through the atmosphere onto Earth seems kind of problematic to me. But I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson being able to analyze the ending of Independence Day.
To me, also, like, wouldn't the radiation be like the surface of those pieces be radioactive, and then they're being ionized by the atmosphere as they come through? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics of that. Let me just text my buddy Neil, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
I actually like where the movie ends because, like I said, this is a very hopeful movie and it has a very hopeful message about humanity and people as a whole. And where the movie ends and stops, it's like, we can do anything from this point, right? From this point forward, there's nothing we can't do. We did the impossible. We overcame the biggest challenge we could overcome. And this point forward, it's like the future has always been in our hands, but now more than ever do we realize what the potential we have when we come together as a species and put our mind to something, right? So
Thanos is happy because half the population got killed. Everyone is just having
everybody
happy
wins.
Ending. One of my favorite parts of the movie is where they are sending Morse code messages to like the people in like the Middle East and like Russia and shit.
What do they have in mind?
I like how they are sending like the Morse code messages, and everyone kind of like has their own Independence Day battle at the end, like off screen kind of,
It's
pretty
funny?
cool.
I had never seen that when all communication fails, switching back to Morse code in any other movie before this. And then it's in so many movies after, including Transformers. When the Decepticons knock out our communications in the 2007 movie, they shut us down. Blackout shuts us down. There's just a bunch of people with Morse code communicating all over the world.
Yeah, they got to communicate with Morse code because they don't do much reading, man.
Right?
They can't read the memos.
Jesus Christ. So
the fucking movie.
Fucking movie. To be fair, that is the second one, but fuck me. But yeah,
they're all
I feel
fucked
like
by association.
I feel like one, that's probably something we would actually do. But two, I feel like that was a movie trope I hadn't really seen much until Independence Day.
It's smart.
It's real smart.
Their fucking satellites were fucked, so they got to send the Morse code messages. It's pretty smart.
The more simple technology is, the less susceptible it is to problems. So, which is why that one solar storm in like the 1800s was so shocking, because even telegraph lines literally burst into flames when that one hit. So,
Okay, before we sign off, I want a quick 5 minutes. Why do you hate the sequel so much? Because I know nothing about the sequel outside of the tidbits you've told me.
So the sequel takes everything the first movie does, takes the entire message of the first movie about hope and humanity and stuff, takes all that and just throws it in the garbage disposal. It becomes a meme or parody of this type of movie almost, and it becomes just this. It becomes Godzilla, is what it becomes. It becomes, oh my God, they even flat out say in this movie their entire civilization is on that ship. But no, that is one of many ships throughout the galaxy. They are basically the aliens from Titan AE, just going around, taking over, taking whatever they want. And how fucking dare you stand up against us? This is our God-given right to do whatever we want because we have the technology to do it. So now we're just going to send all the ships to Earth. And the supreme leader, the supreme commander comes to Earth. The alien queen, basically, comes to Earth. And that was a toy that I had, by the way. It's about 3-4 times the size of the standard aliens. Even the toy was. But they then there's this other alien that comes down, like alien AI that is a survivor of these aliens from another part of the galaxy.
Sounds so terrible.
That comes in and is helping us defeat the aliens once and for all. The cool thing that it does is it had been 20 years in real life since the first movie, and it's been 20 years in the second movie since the events of the first movie. And we have a unified Earth with a single Earth government, a single president that's elected to rule all of Earth for however many terms. Earth united, we're one people, and we have planetary defenses in place on the moon, and we have all these things going on. We've integrated their technology with ours. Which means that we have fighter jets instead of propellers have these blue fans on the side of them, and that's it. And then the characters are the most cookie cutter, awful, genre specific archetypes that they could be.
Are you specifically talking about even the characters that return from the original movie are now written as one note, or are you talking about new characters?
The new characters.
The new characters, okay.
The Jeff Goldblum is still very much Jeff Goldblum, but his character is ridiculous. He is now the head of planetary defenses or something. And nobody knows these aliens the way that he does or whatever. And then President Whitmore has PTSD type issues from having an alien consciousness inside of his mind.
That sounds like an unnecessarily complicated subplot that wasn't really needed.
Well, it actually comes into play in something, and then he sacrifices his life to do a thing, and then the other guy, when the aliens come back, you remember how all their technology turned on at Area 51?
Yeah.
When they come back, the alien scientist that he spoke through wakes up from his coma. And then his brother, who is just as bad and awful as he is the guy that's been in charge of Area 51 while he was in his coma. But he knows where they come from and all this. He knows all this other shit about them because he was in the coma, I guess. And then let's see, what else was there? It's literally just explosions after explosions, and it becomes a meme of itself. But there's even a line Jeff Goldblum has when they're like, they just blew up the Statue of Liberty, and he's like, yeah, the monuments, they love going after the monuments or something. I think they blew up Mount Rushmore or something, and someone says that. He says that or something. I don't know. I saw it one time, and I hated every second of it.
I'm surprised you watched it.
Oh, I am too, because I avoided it for a while. I didn't watch it when it was new. I watched it a few years after it came out. Then Judd Hirsch is one of the best parts of the movie because in the first movie, his thing is he doesn't know what's going on. He wants to help, but he can't because he doesn't have any skills that pertain to this, right? But every once in a while, he says something or he can cool the temperature down in the room or whatever. In the second one, he's written a book about how he's the one that saved the world because he's the one that had the computer virus idea, and no one's buying it. So he's constantly trying to push his books off on people. Because so on paper that's terrible. Judd Hirsch being the actor that he sells it really well. He's actually really funny. And he has a thing where he actually does a thing to help, and he's talking about how he's gonna put that in his second book.
Nice.
So
it has like a few like positives to it. It's just the overall kind of like direction they took the story sucks. Sounds like
it's one of those cases where, like I said, you've heard me say a few times on the podcast, if they just called it anything else, I probably would like it. But they made an entire mythos in this lived-in universe with these aliens, right? Like the way they move, the way they operate, what they do. They created this whole background of we've been studying their technology for 50 years. They did all this stuff. The characters are very, again, like you said, they are kind of a classic archetype, but I think they're written really well. And then the actors that they have in those roles are very charismatic. And oh my God, the second movie is a B movie that should have been like a USA original or something. Like
yikes.
It is goddamn awful for an Independence Day movie.
And now someone's going to pick it for Friends and Family Month, so there you go.
If I was just flipping through the channels one Saturday and there was this USA original alien invasion movie, sure, it would have been fine. But to call it Independence Day and to put all this... Oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure everything in that movie is pure CGI. There's no puppets. There's no models. And
that pisses me off.
Well, normally that doesn't bother me the way it does you. But like you said, this movie is made in 1996. And it doesn't look great still to this day, but it still looks pretty good.
For 30 years old, it looks incredible.
It looks pretty good.
Especially considering other stuff that was happening around this time.
Yeah.
If you like side by side it. And like when you go that route, so like part of the thing that pisses me off about movies like the new Thing movie that switched to CGI and like you're talking about with the second Independence Day, when you go down the route of having shitty CGI, you're automatically going to make your new movie look like crap compared to the original one that came out 30 years ago. And I can't take you seriously when you can't even like have the foresight to realize you're going to make your movie look like ass compared to the special effects that happened 3 decades prior within the same fucking franchise you're continuing. So it's just really lazy to me.
How
it pisses me off.
genius is it to build a model of the White House, shine a blue light on it, and then explode it and slow that footage down? Because that's what they did. They shot it in a higher frame rate and then they slowed it down.
Yeah, and then the perspectives
and then they just
on those shots are really well done.
The spaceship above it.
Yeah. It's good.
And because you've got nothing to compare the spaceship to, it's the size of a city over one building. You've got nothing else in frame with it to compare it to in the background. It still looks good. And then the model in front of you looks good because it's an actual physical thing. Like, it's really well done and really smart. And there's nothing about the second movie that is smartly done. It is just, we need to reach back for an IP everybody knows and loves.
Yeah, that was the only reason the movie happened.
And we just need to pump all this movie into it, crank it out as fast as you can, and make sure everything blows up real good. And
I'm glad they've kind of like slowed down on just continuing IP for the sake of continuing IP. Like, it feels like they're starting to get a little bit more choosy on like, we're going to continue this if we actually have like a good reason to, or like a good good story.
The best name I have heard for this was one you told me. Independence Day Regurgence, because that is basically what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know. It hurts because they called it Independence Day, and they called it anything else. Now, one thing real quick that I wanted to make a note of, just so I'm not sitting here constantly jerking off to Independence Day. I will concede that there's a few plot points that are just kind of like, yeah, okay. The biggest one, the one that actually kind of bothers me, it didn't bother me in 1996 because I didn't think about movies as hard. I was 11 years old in 1996. But the thing that kind of bothers me is the same thing that this genre bothers me. Okay, I'm going to try that sentence again. The same thing about this genre that bothers me every time I see it, right, is like in Battle Los Angeles and Independence Day and so on, it's our resources they want. It's always the Earth's resources. The Earth has next to no resources. As much as I love Transformers G1, they're here for our resources. The Earth has next to no resources compared to even just some of the asteroids out there that are much smaller than the Earth. You can float through a nebula if you have a way to collect it. There's a nebula out there that has, if you could coalesce it all into one big planet, it would be 3 times the size of Earth and be solid gold. Like,
were we talking about this like about something recently? About like we were talking about something was like wanting from Earth, and it's like more common on like just everyday asteroids in space or
Battle
or something.
Battle Los Angeles, whatever that movie was called.
I don't think it was that. I think it was something like I think we talked about this on
Probably
the podcast somewhat recently. I think it was more recent than that. I'm trying to think what it was.
But like Battle Los Angeles, it's water, and water is the most abundant resource in the universe. It's in the form of water ice, and it's everywhere you look.
It was Battlefield Earth. It was them wanting the mining deposits that are like
mining gold and stuff.
Yeah, but like we talked. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, there is water ice inside the craters on Mercury, the closest planet to the sun. It has ice. Like, ice is fucking everywhere. Ice is on the moon. Most of it is pulverized up and mixed in with the dust and dirt on the moon.
Well, wasn't the thing about the Independence Day aliens, though, that they just did... They took everything from everywhere, so they just kind of, like, mosey on around and just, like, oh, here's the thing.
He says planet to planet. They go planet to planet until they use up all the resources take everything and go.
They just take everything.
Yeah, but...
So I guess, like, you can kind of, like, make the argument that it's, like, they take everything because they can, and not that they necessarily like need Earth specifically. And I'm not talking about like I don't know about the context of the second movie. I'm just talking about the first movie. You could say like they've already been to all those places and they're just kind of like on a path and just clearing out fucking everything they see.
In their way, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, like they're just kind of like just chilling, going through space. If they see a thing, they're gonna take it. You know, it's not like it's not like they sought out the Earth. They just came upon us.
So like that part hasn't aged well. We didn't really know that in the 90s. Some people probably did, but it wasn't as widely known as it is now. That planets are not really the place to look if you want resources, man. Look at asteroids, you know? Look at gas. There's so much water, and nebulas are left over from stars exploding. When stars explode, you get platinum and lithium and gold and all these precious metals that are too heavy. They're all at the center of the Earth. What we have at the surface that we've been mining is just what has rained down on us over the eons since the Earth formed. When it first formed, anything it had would be at the center because we were a liquid. You know, we weren't solid yet. So, yeah, from that perspective, yeah, okay. But, I mean, any reason, right? The reason that Resurgence gives is actually pretty good. You know, they go where they want, they take what they want, including technology and everything, and resources and stuff, and integrate it with their own. And I know it's a trope, but even in my Rick Brown bullshit that I read and listen to, there's a race of people where we can do this because we are the strongest, and you have no right to fight back. If you fight back, how fucking dare you? We will glass the planet and kill anyone and everything on it. Otherwise, we're just going to take what we want, kill who we want because we can. And you have that is basically their religion. That is kind of the way they paint the aliens in Resurgence. And in that respect, I would give them that updates the whole. It's not just resources. They're here. They might as well take it while they're here.
Yeah, that's kind of like the way I took it. The way that they briefly talk about in the first movie. Just as someone who's seen the first movie but hasn't seen the second one, and that was kind of how I took it.
By the way, I fucking love the scene that Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith have when they're hiding, when they're trapped inside the mothership.
Yeah,
And they're talking like it's over. Then they're just like, well, one thing left to do. Like, yep, I guess so. And then they go and they set the nuke up to fire, and they're just like, bye. Like, goodbye.
Yeah, they're like waving at the queen. Or whatever.
And it's looking at him like, huh? And then I love that they took the time in the computer virus to program in the Jolly Roger laughing with the evil laugh, and the alien's like, what the fuck? When then the nuke fires.
Yeah.
And then I love the reaction of it knocked them loose. And then they're just like, oh shit, and they jump in and start strapping in. Because that was the last thing they expected. They thought they were going down with the ship, literally.
Mm-hmm. They thought they were stuck.
They were stuck. And then all of a sudden, like, fat lady, shut up, fat lady. You're obsessed with fat lady. Get us out of here. I fucking love it.
Oh man. Yeah, I like that. I like that whole part too.
Last bullet point because I missed it. This is the very last one. I had a buddy that always hated the computer virus aspect of it. But one, the internet was new to us. All anyone was talking about was computer viruses, right? It's 1996. So computer viruses are all over the news. The internet is new. We don't know how to secure it yet. We don't know how to deal with that kind of thing yet, right? So that is a new thing pulp culture is dealing with, is computer viruses. So a computer virus fits into the time and date of the movie. But also in War of the Worlds, we lose. We can't beat them. Nothing can penetrate their weaponry, or their armor or anything. There is no way we can win, and then they all just drop dead.
Is it because like the water or something?
No, that is signs. In War of the Worlds, it is germs and viruses, and most notably the common cold. They're from Mars in War of the Worlds, and Mars is sterile. They don't have an immune system at all. They don't have germs on Mars, so they have no immune system. And then they come here to Earth where it's teeming with bacteria and teeming with viruses and stuff, and they just fucking die on their own from breathing our air because they also breathe oxygen. So they're breathing in all of our germs, most notably the common cold, and all the aliens just die inside their own technology, inside their robots and everything. They just fucking die, and that's the end of it. So when he says, get up off the floor, you're going to catch cold, and that gives him the idea of the computer virus, that is directly referencing War of the Worlds, is why that scene exists.
I don't know why. I thought maybe it was the way that they quickly talk about it, about the germs at the ending of the Tom Cruise movie that made me think about that. But I always thought Signs was referencing War of the Worlds with the water thing. But that might have been
they're jealous of our water. They're jealous of our water. They're jealous of our resources. That's another thing. In the original War of the World, they want our resources because Mars has none. And they're jealous of the bounty that we enjoy here on Earth, but we are polluting our own waters, polluting our own air, and it's pissing them off because they want what we have, and we're ruining what we have because we don't care about what we have. We have too much of it to care about it. And it's written before we have rocketry. So the way the Martians get here is giant cannons on the surface of Mars, shoot them towards the Earth like a bullet.
I love that more.
And then they, just like in the 2007 Transformers movie, they fall through the atmosphere, hit the ground into a crater, and then after they cool off and stuff, they start to transform. The pods are the water tower mech things, and they start to transform and stand up and start walking around, and they're blasting everybody with an invisible heat ray. It's infrared, so you can't see it, but people are just melting and being skeletonized by this thing as it's walking around.
Only thing that'd be better is if they learned instant transmission and just zapped over like fucking Goku just onto the surface.
But yeah, giant cannons shoot them towards the Earth.
I love that.
I mean, I guess you can extend Independence Day. The Independence Day is the War of the Worlds, and in the War of the Worlds, it's the resources they want.
I also think people just in general need to apply critical thinking based on what the product is trying to portray. I'm going to judge the way the science is portrayed harder in The Martian than Independence Day, which is a fucking 90s summer blockbuster. Like, the science is not going to be fucking Andy Weir level.
Well,
like,
not only that, one thing that's also great about watching this movie is how simple the plot is. Alien shows up, aliens prove themselves bad. We try to kill them, we can't. We have a breakthrough moment, and we do. Right? That's it. Like, I made a tweet. I wrote a tweet on Twitter about we don't even know President Whitmore's political affiliation. Like, do you know how much time the movie would have been spent on the politics of he's a Republican president and this, that, and the other thing? Like, it's crazy how...
It doesn't get bogged down with the details.
It's crazy how weirdly complex movies feel like they need to be now. And they throw in a bunch of junk that just needs to be edited out, but they never do.
Yeah.
And this movie is so bare bones. It's oh my God. You know what it's not? It's the most recent crop of Godzilla movies, right?
Oh, it's so obnoxious.
There's so many plot details that don't need to be there. And this movie is like, hey, you want to see the White House blow up? You want New York and LA to once again get blown up in a movie? Bro, have a seat, get some popcorn, get your drink. Don't worry, we win at the end. Right? And then if this movie was made today, well, it would be Resurgence. Right? Like,
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I also just don't think they should have continued the IP that long after this.
There was no need.
This never screamed like it needed a sequel to me in the slightest.
There was no need. Even that ending, like, didn't I promise you fireworks? Like, yeah, it's also kind of a trope ending, right? But at the same time, the whole message of the movie, like I said, has been hope. And like I mentioned earlier, not to talk in circles, but just to reiterate real quick, the way the movie ends before it goes to credits, it is literally showing the impossible in the background. One of their city-sized craft is on the ground burning in the background as we're watching pieces of the mothership fall to Earth. And you have this hopeful, joyous swell in the score as we're going to credits. We came together as a people all around the world. And yeah, it was trying to tell you where we were, and some of those were racist stereotypes now. But they were trying to message, this is Africa, this is Asia, this is Russia, or whatever. That part didn't age well, but it's showing that we came together as a people, and we literally did the impossible, and what else can we accomplish is what the ending is saying. Like, literally, it pans up to the sky because the sky is the limit from this point forward. We've been united. Now, what's the next thing we can do? And I don't know. I've always really liked that part too. So, anyways, this has been my 2 hours on Independence
Ron's
Day.
TED Talk on
Jeff,
Independence
did you even
Day.
watch the movie, sir? What did you think of it?
It's alright.
Good movie, good. Go watch. Even if you don't love it as much as I do. I think it still holds up really well, and I think part of the backlash is, you know how I've said the 2007 Transformers now, it's not great, but I can't hardly watch it now because I know what comes next. Like,
yeah,
I feel like
fucked by association.
Yeah, I feel like being associated with Resurgence kind of hurts it.
Oh, you just gotta see, like that's the type of thing where I'll just like the fucking Thing prequel thing that I don't like. I just pretend it doesn't exist. It doesn't even cross my fucking mind. Well, them calling the fucking prequel the same name is the stupidest fucking thing.
Yeah, that was a very Nintendo Apple move.
So fucking
the new
dumb.
thing.
But yeah, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here for almost 2 hours, which I didn't want to do. We gotta quit having these fucking 2-hour podcasts.
I know, but it's what the people want, Jeff.
Is it? I don't. I think we subject them to enough at 90 minutes.
Oh man.
But that's just me. But yeah, I gave you some extra time for your TED Talk because this is one of your favorites. So you're fucking welcome, Ron.
You knew it was gonna be here eventually. You knew it was gonna be here.
And now someone's gonna pick Resurgence to fuck you over for Friends and Family Month. So have fun with that.
It might be kind of fun. I don't know because
you'll just lose your mind like I did with the Avatar M Night movie. So that could be pretty cathartic.
If it was just a blow shit up real good movie and it wasn't called Independence Day, I'd probably be a little into it. But calling it Independence Day, invoking this movie,
it was never gonna go well because of how much you revere like the original movie.
I'm not the only one with that opinion though.
I'm saying like I know the movie's a piece of shit just based on public reception to it, but
yeah, because people
for you specifically,
back on that movie hard.
It was a losing battle for you specifically because this was like your favorite movie for 20 years, so there's no chance in hell it was ever going to be able to touch what your thoughts on the original are. But
some people have had reactions to that. I'm not saying it's the best movie ever made. It was my favorite movie for a long time. I think for good reason. Like it does a lot to blur genre lines. It's a well put together movie. It has great effects. I just told you 2 hours on why I think that's not a bad choice for a favorite movie for 20 years.
This is like, to me, the ultimate Sunday afternoon, someone watching a movie with their dad with a 6-pack of beers. And then there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's pretty...
And, you talked about the alien invasion subgenre. I think this is kind of the ultimate version of that. Like, I don't think you're going to get better than this movie. I think you can come close. I think you can make a good alien invasion movie. I don't think you're ever going to beat Independence Day.
To me, it just depends on, like, what the context of the alien invasion is. Because technically, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is an alien invasion movie, but it's operating on a completely different scale. It's not like a 1950s alien invasion movie like this is homaging. It is The Thing level, street level kind of... the shit's already hit the fan. What do the characters react to? But it's not like a global, we're gonna send out fighter pilots to fight the aliens and ships and shit.
I agree, but I would argue that rather than being alien invasion, that is the quiet invasion, right? The one that you're sneaking in rather than coming in guns a-blazing the way a typical alien invasion movie does. The quiet invasion is one of my favorite concepts.
I like the quiet invasion much better than I like the loud one
on here eventually, which is one of those. And
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot better than the kind of 1950s style that this is homaging.
Stephanie Meyer book I read was The Quiet Invasion also.
Yep. All right, Ron, any final thoughts before we start our sign-offs?
No, just good movie, good. Go watch.
I was surprised by how much I ended up liking this because I was a little bit concerned sitting down to watch it because I didn't feel like it would hold up for me.
Fifth Element was a real shock to me, so I was kind of afraid to record this episode. Is this the episode that ends the screenplay rewind? Like
the main thing that this had going for me was the combination of what actors they chose. I think the actors
there's a lot of charisma on screen.
And a lot of like people that you and I specifically like Bill Pullman and like Goldblum, specifically, like those types of guys where they're.
And like Bill Pullman, my God, what a great actor! Like you watch him in this, where he's like the heroic type hero, right? It's like he's so heroic you have to use heroic twice to describe him. He's the heroic hero, and then you contrast that with fucking Torchwood when he's one of the...
I still need to watch Torchwood.
Dude,
I keep meaning to.
He is one of the biggest sleazeball assholes you have ever seen. Like he is he's straight up evil in that series. And it was the one series they had where everything was interconnected. It was the Stars season that they did when Stars acquired them. Because I think they got canceled and Stars acquired the IP and they continued it with the same actors and everything. And he is a running thing because the idea is all of a sudden no one on Earth can die out of nowhere. Just one day people woke up and they were unable to die, except all of a sudden what's his name? Captain
Jack.
Captain Jack. All of a sudden he's mortal, and everyone around him is immortal. It flipped for whatever reason, and we found that out by trying to execute Bill Pullman, and he lived.
Yeah, don't tell me anymore. I kind of want to watch this.
Well, I was gonna say
every time you like sell me on it, I'm like, I need to fucking watch that, and then I forget about it for 5 years.
I just want to say,
like, fuck, I need to watch that.
I just want to say the whole thing around him is in the first episode they tried to execute him, and they can't because no one can die all of a sudden, and he's the first person that can't die that we found, and technically his sentence was carried out. He suffered the death penalty. So they had to let him go.
It just didn't take.
Yeah. And it's incredible. That whole season's incredible. But
yeah, it's always sounded super cool. I just unfortunately like Torchwood just slips my mind.
This movie will make you love Bill Pullman, and then that series will make you fucking hate him. Like, he's such a terrible human being. It's incredible the range he has.
I wish he'd be in more stuff because it just seems like he's kind of disappeared a little bit the last 15 years or so.
And then I got sad recently. I watched Twister, and I miss Bill Paxton so much.
I love Bill Paxton so much.
Dude, that movie holds up also. I always liked it. I know some people never liked it, and some people really like it. I always liked that movie. The science in it is total dog shit, but it's another one that's got really good characters. It's got really good, like, I guess you can call them action sequences. And Bill Paxton is a fucking national treasure in that. So
Bill Paxton.
Go check out the Bills. Go watch Independence Day, then go watch Twister.
Bill Paxton is like real close to being on that screenplay rewind Mount Rushmore. Same with Goldblum. I think Nick Cage is probably the patron saint of this podcast, though. All right, Ron. Where can people find you when you're not discussing Independence Day TED Talks?
I am Ron Sense TV on all the things. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitch. I don't know if I'm going to be using Twitch anymore. I kind of am getting the hang of YouTube, and I kind of like YouTube. I can do a higher bit rate, and playing a game like Elden Ring, that higher bit rate comes through.
The user interface is also just a hell of a lot better. Twitch is still so fucking janky because Amazon could not give less of a shit about that fucking format.
I've never watched a YouTube live stream. I should probably do that at some point. I can tell you the user interface is not great for the streamer.
From the streamer side, it's janky. That sucks.
There's been a lot of growing pains switching over.
Gotcha. I have never streamed on YouTube, so I never even thought about that. From the viewer perspective, I think it is a cleaner interface than Twitch is.
Yeah, but I've been over there streaming Elden Ring. Subnautica Saturdays coming back. I'm still doing Hades every Sunday as a way to I guess make fun of church. I don't know. I'm gonna bust out of hell on church day. And then I've got. By the time this comes out, I should be just about to start a new game. Let me see what it's called. This is gonna be my new YouTube VODs. The live stream is Elden Ring, but my thing is, let me see. Come on, hurry up. Arcade Paradise is free on Epic right now, and I grabbed it. I'm probably gonna be making videos on it.
Nice. If you would like to follow the podcast more, we are on Twitter at SPR Filmcast. You can follow us for show updates, such as this episode getting delayed because the universe continues to try to kill me. So that's cool.
Better than aliens. Better than aliens.
You can email us prompts
Jeff's
to discuss at the beginning.
Jeff has an immune system. He survived. Jeff's human.
Yep. They keep trying, but I keep shrugging it off. You can email us questions or prompts to be discussed at the beginning of the episodes at screenplayrewind@gmail.com or dropping a comment or question in the YouTube comment sections of whichever of our uploads you happen to be catching. Obviously, liking and subscribing on YouTube always helps us out, as well as on whichever podcast platform you might have caught us on. All right, Ron, you asked earlier if we would be continuing the sci-fi trend, and we are.
Ooh.
But I'm going a little bit of a different direction because this is one I've been wanting to revisit for a while.
The thing.
We're gonna
thing,
watch
thing.
No,
thing.
No, fuck the thing prequel thing. We're gonna cover Sunshine.
Ooh,
I've been
that's
wanting
been on
to
my
watch
short list.
I fucking love Sunshine.
I love that movie so much.
And I have been like, I think I told you during the Martian episode, I have been just jonesing for space shit the last few weeks. So I'm excited to watch Sunshine again because I haven't seen
removing it from movies to cover on the podcast and adding it to the screenplay rewind list on IMDb right now.
Nice. Yeah. So Sunshine. Let's see.
The cast in this movie is incredible.
The cast is absurd. Do you by chance have access to Just Watch where you can look it up? Because my phone has died.
Oh,
I do not have access.
I just closed that tab a few minutes ago. Give me a second.
The cast, the movie literally could not be made today because the cast would be too expensive.
Recently, so it's somewhere. Nope, I take it back. It is available to rent on Apple, Fandango at home, and Amazon. Oh, wait, that's the best price. Hang on, let me see HD. I forget the website. Oh, nope, it's the same.
Just for rent. Okay, well, you can find it for rent on
Apple
Usual
TV.
Suspects. It
No,
sounds like.
It's not. It's on Amazon, Apple TV, Fandango at home, and Microsoft.
Interesting.
According to this, yeah, flipping between best price and HD changed to nothing. It took me a second to catch up. Apple TV Plus usually has like a free trial if you don't want to pay for it. You can try that.
Yep.
Because it says here that it's it's streaming with a subscription.
Oh, on Apple TV, like just with the
it says you can rent, but when you switch to free, Apple TV Plus comes up with free trial. So
sweet. Yeah, I think I still have Apple TV Plus. But yeah, I'm excited to watch Sunshine again. I haven't seen Sunshine since I think a year or two after it came out.
You just decided my next one. I think you.
Oh really?
I think I know what my next one is now because of this.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to revisit.
I gotta keep it going.
All right.
Geoff. I gotta clear.
Get clear. Yeah, this has been our coverage of Independence Day.
Benedict Wong was in Sunshine. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's even the supporting character cast is ridiculous for that fucking movie.
This movie could not be made today.
Yeah. It's I think it also has that I forget his name, but the awesome dude from the new Shogun show. If you see his face, that you'll know who I'm talking about. But I just can't.
Sonata?
Yeah. That guy who's awesome and everything, but I totally forgot he was also in Sunshine.
I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, he was in Sunshine as well. The cast is just
He's apparently in the
good.
Wolverine too. I never saw that.
He is I think he's the Silver Samurai or one of the villains. I forget.
He's Akihiko in Avengers Endgame. He's the one that has the sword battle with Ronan,
Hawkeye.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're gonna cover Sunshine in a couple weeks. Hopefully that episode doesn't get delayed, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a good night.